Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, where we discuss all of the news in the world of soccer. My name is Ben Brown, and yes, I am riding solo on the show, at least for the time being. Alex, no longer a part of us, a part of our Golden State Media Concepts family. He might be in our heart, but not physically, so we are just going to have to kind of go solo with me, at least for now. Hope you enjoy listening to me because, that's what you're going to be forced to listen to. It's me. I hope you had a great holiday yesterday, Christmas. Today, Boxing Day over in England. A fantastic day of football planned. 8 games in total. 1 game already finished. 6 games currently going on. They are at the half, so we will do updates all throughout the show with all things Premier League soccer. It's a huge day, Boxing Day, a great day. So we'll be talking about that pretty much all throughout the show. Got to update you. So some scores at halftime. Chelsea with a 1-0 lead over Bournemouth. A goal from Pedro. Arsenal and West Brom are tied 0-0 at the half. Manchester United with the lead 1-0 over Sunderland. A goal from Daley Blind. Leicester and Everton are tied at the half. And West Ham with a 1-0 lead over Swansea. A goal from Andre Ayew against his former club, Swansea City. So those are your halftime scores in the Premier League. 1 game already concluded. It was Watford against Palace, Crystal Palace that is, a 1-1 draw. The game ends. Goal from Johan Cabaye in the first half for Crystal Palace. And then Troy Deeney gets his 100th career goal for Watford. A penalty in the second half to take 1 point. First game, Sam Allardyce is back in charge of Palace after he was hired last week because Alan Pardew was sacked last week by Crystal Palace. Big year for Sam Allardyce all over the place. Started at Sunderland. Helped them avoid getting relegated. Then he was the England manager until the turmoil that happened there. And now he is back managing a club in England. That is Crystal Palace. First game, a draw. So not a bad result. Crystal Palace have been doing really, really bad this year. So it was not a bad result. Palace sitting 17th. So just a couple of points out of a relegation zone right now. So he's going to need to try and help them out. And he knows what it takes. Last year he did the same thing with Sunderland. So I guess it's not a bad move. But anyways, for the rest of the show, we're going to be talking about our year in review in soccer 2016. This is our last episode in 2016, so we have to do a year in review, all the great storylines. This was a fantastic year in football. I think, look at some of the top storylines before I break them down later in the show. We have Iceland, we have Leicester City, we have the Euros, Copa America. A lot of great things going on in soccer this year that we'll be talking about. I'll also be giving my team of the year, my World 11. I'll do that at the end of the show with the year in review. For the first couple segments, we'll just be talking about soccer in general, games going on, currently updating you. A lot of Premier League talk. A lot of the other leagues are on sort of winter breaks for the time being. The Bundesliga especially, they get a month off. The other leagues just a couple of weeks. So this show will kind of be Premier League heavy, which normally is because I enjoy it. So we'll talk a lot about the Premier League. We'll also be doing a little bit of transfer talk. We do have transfers coming up in January. A few confirmed deals already set in stone, although they cannot move quite yet. So people like Oscar are on the move. People like Julian Draxler from Wolfsburg are on the move. So pretty interesting. I'll be talking about them later in the show. And then really next week, when we're in January 2017, we're going to be having transfer segment every single show. Although the winter transfer session is not nearly as prolific as the summer is, there's still plenty of big top moves to be made. A lot of great stars that are on the move. A lot of rumors as well, so we'll be talking about those. But anyways, guys, I just want to start off the show where we left off last week, and that's talking about some of the results that have happened this week in soccer. So, guys, I'm going to start with Serie A. So, on Tuesday, Atalanta with a 2-1 victory over Empoli. On Wednesday, Inter get a nice 3-0 victory over Lazio. A couple of goals by Mauro Icardi. He's having another good year for Inter, the captain there. Thursday was the big day. Every other team except for Crotone, Juventus, and Bologna and Milan played. That's because Juventus and Milan did play in the Supercoppa Italia. It was a 1-1 game that went to penalty kicks, and AC Milan do get the victory over Juve in the League Cup. It's AC Milan's first trophy since 2011. 8 saves by Gianluigi Donnarumma. The young kid is just absolutely special. He's fantastic. I mean, he's literally the future when it comes to Italian goalkeeping. He's going to pick up right where Gianluigi Buffon left off, and I think he's ready for a great, great career. So Sampdoria and Udinese get a 0-0 draw. Palermo and Pescara with a 1-1 draw. Cagliari pick up a 4-3 win over Sassuolo. Big goal-scoring game there. Torino with the 1-0 over Genoa. Napoli and Fiorentina get a 3-3 draw. Roma do get a 3-1 victory over Chievo. So when you look at the updated table, Roma are 4 points back of Juve, but Juventus do have a game in hand. They only played 17 games as opposed to 18 games, so they could technically, with a victory, make that a 7-point differential. Napoli, with the draw, do drop some big points to Roma. They now sit third at 35 points. Lazio, 34 points, fourth, and then Milan, 33 points with a game in hand. So technically, Milan, with the game in hand, could go as high as second if they did have that game and a victory under their belt. So AC Milan just continuing their resurgence this year. Been very, very good. Carlos Bacca, the Colombian striker, has been fantastic. We mentioned Donnarumma already. Gigi Donnarumma, he's been great as well. So AC Milan doing big things, and I've really been impressed with how they've been doing this year. But it's really just down to Juventus. They've been the team for the last 5 years now. They're going to make it 6 in my eyes. There's really no way I don't see it happening. So Serie A is on a break until January 7th. So next week on the show, we'll be talking about the games coming up. So just a nice little 1 week break. Nothing like the Bundesliga does, which is a whole entire month. But still, it is a little something to sort of lean on, which is obviously great. Now we'll move over to the Bundesliga. Speaking of the Bundesliga, a great match day during the week. The big matchup was Bayern Munich against Red Bull Leipzig. We'll get to that. That was on Wednesday, but some of the games on Tuesday. Wolfsburg with a 2-1 victory over Borussia Mönchengladbach. Hamburg with a 2-1 victory over Schalke. Hamburg playing a little better as of late. Dortmund do miss out on going into the top 4 with a 1-1 draw against Augsburg. Eintracht with a 3-0 victory over Mainz. You move over to Wednesday. SC Freiburg with a 2-1 victory over Ingolstadt. Bayer Leverkusen and Cologne with the 1-1 draw. Hoffenheim, yet again, continue to let me down. I said they would win last week against Werder Bremen, but what do? They get a 1-1 draw. You have death, you have taxes, and you have Hoffenheim are going to draw in the Bundesliga. They're still unbeaten, the only unbeaten team in the league through 16 games, but only 6 wins to show for it and 10 draws. Absolute terrible form. It's good they're not losing games, Hoffenheim, but they just can't get a victory under their belt against a not a good team like Werder Bremen, 1-1. And then Hertha Berlin do pick up a 2-0 victory over Darmstadt. And the standalone big-time game, the battle of the top 2, Bayern Munich against Red Bull Leipzig. Bayern Munich with a 3-0 victory over Leipzig. Leipzig also finished the game with 10 men. They were down 3-0 at the half. Just not a good game. I mean, this is what a lot of us expected. Red Bull Leipzig just continuing a great season. They're still second in the league. Still second in the league by 6 points. They have a firm grip over that. But when you're playing a team like Bayern Munich on the road, the Allianz Arena, it's never a good situation to be in. And I'm not really surprised they lost. I did expect this to happen. They had to finish with 10 men, which is never a good thing. So now they're 3 points back. Definitely the goal differential as well of Bayern Munich. It's going to be hard to imagine that Red Bull Leipzig can sort of continue on their form that they showed in the first half of the season into the second half. Only 2 losses, one of them being to Bayern Munich. So you got to mention that Bayern are in a good situation. But for me, the team that's really been disappointing this year in the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund sits 6th at 27 points. They are just 3 points out of the top 3, so I guess that's something to look forward to. 7 wins, 6 draws, 3 losses. They're just not really playing as well as you would have hoped, and you would have liked to have seen. Last year, so dominant, finished 2nd in the league, 10 points behind Bayern Munich. They do have the 1 victory over Bayern Munich, which is a great thing, but they just simply cannot put positive results through. They just can't get any wins under their belt right now. They kind of remind me of Hoffenheim in a way. Not necessarily as bad as getting the draws, but just can't really get much done. The Bundesliga is on a break, a long break, a month-long break until Friday, January 20th and Saturday, January 21st. So we will be not talking about the Bundesliga for a while on the show. It's just an updated table leading into the break. Bayern Munich, 39 points first. Red Bull Leipzig, second at 36. Hertha Berlin, third with 30. Eintracht, 29. They sit fourth. Hoffenheim, 28, they're fifth. Dortmund, 6 at 27. We have a scoring update. Chelsea now take a 2-0 lead over Bournemouth. Eden Hazard has just converted a penalty in the 50th minute. So they have the smooth 2-0 lead over Bournemouth. Got to imagine that this is going to be win number 12 in a row for the Chelsea Blues. They're just untouchable right now. And in all of soccer, really, no one can really touch them. They're in great form, and a 2-0 victory, or a 2-0 lead, currently at home, you got to imagine that they're not giving that up anyway whatsoever. Now we'll move over to League One. League One, the French league. We had games on Wednesday, just all along Wednesday, trying to close it out before they take their small break until the January 13th, 14th, and 15th, so they get a couple of weeks off. Marseille with a 2-1 victory over Bastia. PSG rebound over Lorient with a smooth 5-0 victory. And Lyon with a 2-0 victory over Angers. AS Nancy Lorraine and AC do draw 0-0. Bordeaux and Nice also a 0-0 draw. So a good chance for PSG and Monaco to gain points on Nice with that 0-0 draw. Monaco did get the 2-1 victory over Caen. Dijon with the 2-0 victory over Toulouse. Jean Gamp with a 2-2 draw over Metz. You have Nantes and Montpellier with a 1-0 victory for Nantes. And then Rennes and Lille with a 1-1 draw. PSG with that smooth 5-0 victory. They still stay third in the table, but they do gain a couple of points on Nice as well as Monaco. So Nice now 44 points atop the league. Still, it's so interesting and so surprising to see Nice still up there after they sold Hatem Ben Arfa, which was really their best player last season. You would have imagined that they would have kind of just fallen from the ranks there, but they're kind of doing the opposite thing. Mario Balotelli's been fantastic for them. They sit atop the table, 44 points. And Monaco in second at 42 points. You have PSG in third with 39. A good victory against Lorient. I did expect that to happen. Lorient last in the league with 15 points through 19 games. A good chance for them to try and turn their season around quickly before the break, kind of regain some of their composure, and then try and work their way up here in the second half of the season. They have just not been the team that we've seen the last few years in the French league, which is not necessarily one of the strongest leagues either. So, good win for PSG. Lyon are fourth, 34 points through 18 games. They also have a game in hand, so technically they could have as high as 37 points. Jean-Camp in fifth with 30 points, and Marseille in sixth with 30 points as well. So now we're going to look at La Liga. There were no games on the slate. They are on a break for a couple of weeks now, but we'll just update you on the table still. Real Madrid do still sit atop with 37 points. They do have a game in hand as well, so they're up by 3 over Barcelona with 34 points. Sevilla right behind them, 33 points, just a game behind the Spanish champion Barcelona. Villarreal in fourth with 29 points. Real Sociedad as well, 29 points through 16 games. Atletico Madrid kind of slumping this season. They sit sixth, 8 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses in the league this season. They have 28 points, and then Atletico Bilbao in seventh with 26 points through 16 games. All right, guys, so we'll take our first break of the show. We've already one segment through. We're just riding along here with the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. After the break, we'll look at some more live updates within the Premier League. Boxing Day going on. And then we'll talk about some of the other games in the Premier League coming up later in the week as well as into the weekend. Games all weekend long, all week long. A game every single day until January 4th. It's a great time to be a fan of the Premier League because There's just games galore. So we'll take our first break, guys. After the break, talk about some updates as well as some other things in the show right after the break at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. And Tigres with a 1-1 draw yesterday. They win it in penalty kicks over America to win the Liga MX Apertura Final. That is the Mexican League final. It went to penalty kicks, a Christmas ending in penalty kicks. How much better could you have wanted that? So Tigres do take the title. They got an equalizer from Jesus Dueñas in the 119th minute, right before the end of the game. Facing adversity, they get a goal to send it to PKs, and then they win on PKs. A little scuffle, a fight broke out after, obviously. America and Tigres not very happy, having that heartbreaking loss for America. They had 3 people get sent off. Tigres had 2 people get sent off, so definitely not a good situation, but Tigres do win the Liga MX title. So that's a great accomplishment for them, and interesting thing, all the way down to the wire. Look at some of the games currently going on in the Premier League. I mentioned Chelsea do have the 2-0 lead. Everton do now have a 1-0 lead over Leicester City. A goal from Kevin Morales in the 51st minute. West Ham now with a 2-0 lead over Swansea. They got a goal from Winston Reid off of a corner kick. The 56th minute going on. It is 2-0 for West Ham. And the only game still scoreless is Arsenal and West Brom. Arsenal dominating the ball. I'm watching it right now. Dominating the ball. Have a ton of possession. But some heroic goalkeeping by Ben Foster so far. He's kept out 7 shots on target. He's having a great game. It is currently the 56th minute, and it is still 0-0 in that game. So Manchester United still with a 1-0 lead over Sunderland. And like I said, West Ham 2-0, Chelsea 2-0, Arsenal scoreless, Everton with a 1-0 lead over Leicester. So those are some of your games currently going on in the Premier League. And then I want to talk really quickly about transfers. It's still December, but it's never too early to look ahead to January. You want to talk about a few pretty much confirmed transfers that have already happened. Just kind of have to wait until January before they can officially become confirmed. Some big-name players, some guys you will have known, and then there might be some rumors, like rumors that maybe Memphis Depay could be going out on loan or being sold, possibly to Everton. And to Everton, it really makes sense for me. He's a Dutch player. Ronald Koeman, the manager there, is Dutch. They do need help on that left-hand wing side. Yannick Bolasie is out with an ACL injury. Memphis Depay is a left winger, and he just really has not been playing at all this season for Manchester United. Hasn't even started one game. So there's no real surprise to me if he were to go out possibly on loan to Everton, get some playing time. Everton could really use his services right now, currently experimenting with Aaron Lennon out there on the left-hand side. So it'd be a good move possibly to see if that could happen. Also, rumors that Morgan Schneiderlin of Manchester United could be going out, possibly to West Brom, maybe Everton. He's just not really getting much playing time for Jose Mourinho right now at Manchester United. Big money signing last year, but it hasn't really panned out at United since coming over from Southampton. So, be interesting to see what happens with him. We'll have to wait until next month to really find out. I do expect both those guys to go out at least somewhere. I don't think they'll be playing their football at their respective clubs this time a month from now. So, and then if you look at some transfers, some ones that are currently being done, a couple of guys, it really pains me to say this, but a couple more guys going to China. One of them for sure is Oscar. Oscar is moving to China on a record-breaking deal. This is the 6th time this year that a record-breaking deal has been made for a player going to China. And this time it's Oscar. He is transferring out of Chelsea. He's going to Shanghai for a £60 million deal. He's going to Shanghai SIPG. £60 million. Oscar going to be earning about £400,000 a week, which is, up there as with one of the highest paid players in the world. Chelsea, the rich just keep getting richer. They're winning all these games in the league, and yet they basically get a free £60 million with Oscar being offloaded because he's not even playing this year. He has 1 assist in the Premier League this whole entire season. In Antonio Conte's current scheme, he's going with N'Golo Kante and Nemanja Matic at center mids. And then if he doesn't really break in, one of those guys is suspended like N'Golo Kante is today. Cesc Fabregas is starting. Oscar just not even playing. So they're getting a free $60 million for a guy who's not even playing part of their squad. So you have to say it's a great move. Now you look for them in January. What could they possibly do? I don't know. All they really need to add in my eyes is depth. Because right now they have the best team in the Premier League and they're playing like it. They're on their way to 12 straight victories. They have a 2-0 lead right now over Bournemouth. So I don't see any way possible that Bournemouth can at least mount a comeback at all. Chelsea flying high. What do they need to add? Just depth, really. Just putting more money in the bank also. So a good solid move there. So Oscar on the way to China. Another guy who could possibly be on the way to China, and he would be the highest paid player in the world, is Carlos Tevez. He's looking at going to Shanghai as well. Tevez, at 32 years old, is currently playing for Boca Juniors in the Argentinian league. He's been there for a couple of years now since he was at Juventus and then Atletico Madrid before that. So Tevez reportedly will be making £625,000 a week, which would make him the highest paid player ever and the highest salary per week ever. So you got to imagine it's very, very tempting. The president of the club for Boca Juniors did say that Tevez is probably going to be going over to China. So, it looks like yet another guy, Oscar, now Carlos Tevez, going to be chasing the money and going to China. On the show next week, I kind of want to talk about the Chinese Super League a little bit. I feel like, in my eyes, it's kind of ruining football in a ways. You're getting some of these guys who are not going to be fulfilling their potential really in the Chinese Super League. A lot of guys this year have made the trip over to China and the change in football there, who are kind of like ruining their career in an aspect to go and chase the money. So I kind of want to talk about that. I'll wait till next week though. Who knows? Maybe we'll get even more guys that are possibly going over to China. Tevez, Oscar, we've seen a lot of them lately, so be interesting to see. We'll have to wait and find out. The last guy, this deal is done. Really just have to wait until January to sign it. It's already been reported and put on the website and everything, is that Wolfsburg outcast Julian Draxler will be moving to Paris Saint-Germain. He's going there for a deal worth about 35 million euros. He could earn a potential 10 extra million euros in bonuses depending on how he works out. Draxler, just a young 23-year-old midfielder, the German international. He's really been an outcast at Wolfsburg now for this whole entire season. He really wanted to get out of there in the summertime. They did not sell him. He's really been adamant about leaving, and now he got booed off of the field. Last couple of times he's been on the pitch. The club president said he will never play for them again. So no real surprise that he is on the way out, and he will be moving over to PSG. He was reported to go to maybe Arsenal as well. So now you put Draxler at PSG. Another great player to go into Unai Emery's squad, possibly help them in the round of 16 if they get there in the Champions League against Barcelona. Tough to say. I don't think he'll be ready then, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, it's a good, solid signing for them. He's a good young player, a guy who can help them for years to come, not just for the immediate future, and a guy who's great on the ball, a good dribbler, can play on the left side, in the middle of the midfield. So interesting to see where Unai Emery really puts Draxler. It's a good, solid move for him and for the club. We'll take our last break, guys. After the break, we'll update you on scores as well, if there's any. And then we will also look ahead to this weekend in soccer and some of the games left on the Premier League schedule for later this week. That's all we really have left to talk about right now. A lot of the other leagues are on international breaks. So we'll talk about the Premier League and some of the games currently left on this schedule and for next week, right after the break.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
West Ham now with a 3-0 lead over Swansea City. Mikel Antonio gets yet another goal. He's having a great season over there on that right-hand side. No other score updates for that. We're winding down here. It's about 10 minutes left within these games. Arsenal really need to get a really solid result. They have a 0-0 draw right now. They're dominating West Brom, but they can't get anything through. They cannot afford to drop more points. Manchester United with the 1-0 lead right now over Sunderland. Everton with the 1-0 lead over Leicester. Middlesbrough and Burnley are still tied 0-0, and Chelsea cruising to a 2-0 lead right now. Hull City and Manchester City will play a little later, about maybe a half hour from now, really. So, I mean, just some games rolling down. Tomorrow on the schedule, we do have Liverpool against Stoke City. Liverpool may not be with Roberto Firmino for tomorrow. He did get charged with a DUI last night, so interesting to see how Jurgen Klopp kind of handles that situation. And then on Wednesday is Southampton. They will be taking on Tottenham. Southampton at home, definitely a tough place to play for Tottenham. As it stands right now, Tottenham with the win would propel ahead of Arsenal and drop them out of the top four, since it is 0-0 at the Emirates Stadium right now with them and West Brom. So we will jump into the last segment of the show, obviously talking about our year in review here at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. It has been an absolutely fantastic year, not only for me, for Alex, who's not here anymore, but for the podcast network itself. We did launch this year, which is obviously a great, great thing, and we're obviously so thrilled, and we'll have a huge 2017 planned. But when you look at the world of soccer in 2016, I don't know of any year in recent time that could even match how good it was. You had so many international competitions. We had the Copa America, we had the Euros, we had the Olympics. I mean, it was a great time, and then we're just a couple of years now, a year and a half really, away from the World Cup yet again, which would be fantastic. Can't wait for that. I mean, a year and a half from now, so I kind of have to wait for that. But it would be absolutely fantastic. But anyways, you look at 2016, a fantastic year within the world of soccer. Just some of the top storylines that I always take away. You have to first and foremost mention the reigning champions of England, Leicester City, 5,000 to 1 odds to win the Premier League. And not only do they win the Premier League, but they win it by a commanding 10 points. Unbelievable that Leicester got it done. Jamie Vardy, Riyad Mahrez, and N'Golo Kante lead the way for Leicester. Leicester not doing so well now, currently 15th in the table, losing right now as it stands as well to Everton. So it's not a good thing for Leicester, but they dominated 2016, winning the Premier League. It was a great story. It was, in my eyes, definitely the story of the year in soccer. Absolutely heroic year for Leicester. Look at the European competition, the European Championships, the first major trophy ever for Portugal, which is kind of ironic to think about how many great players Portugal have had. You have Deco, you have Luis Figo, you have Paulo Futre. Now you have Cristiano Ronaldo. They did it really without Ronaldo in that final as well against France. Ronaldo is forced to leave the game in the first half with a knee injury. Goal from Eder in extra time to win it for them over France, 1-0. A great year. The European Championships was fantastic. Portugal really kind of just playing back, playing defensive, getting a goal and then sitting back. You can't really hit on that strategy. It's kind of boring. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of it, but it gets positive results. And that's what happened. They win the European Championships, the first ever major trophy for Portugal. Now you look at the Copa America. Chile, yet again, the second year in a row now, Chile are your Copa America champions in 2016. And the second year in a row, They win it on penalty kicks over Argentina. You look at Lionel Messi missing that penalty in the Copa America final, kind of skyrocketing it out of the stands. A player of his caliber to not even hit the target is definitely not something you see very often. That was a great, great moment. The Copa America itself, the United States hosting it here in America, it was fantastic to see that. Kind of a disappointing tournament. Some of the presentation didn't really go as planned. But for the U.S. to finish fourth in the Copa America was a great achievement. And then they go on and have to really fire Jurgen Klinsmann, their head coach, because nothing really worked out since then. So now we'll have to see how they go from here. But it was a great 2016, a fantastic year in soccer. I can't wait for 2017. I can't wait to see what it has. A lot of these leagues will be decided in 2017. Obviously, Bayern Munich winning the Bundesliga for the last few years now. PSG really winning that league in League One last year earlier than anyone has ever won it. Juventus won their 5th straight Serie A title. So a great year in world soccer in 2016. And I'll end the show really quickly with my team of the year, who I think deserves to be in the World 11. I'll start at the back. For me, goalie, I guess you have to put Manuel Neuer, the German goalkeeper from Bayern Munich. I really think it's probably between he and David De Gea. I would give the edge to Neuer winning the Bundesliga title, everything he did with Germany in the European Championships. Got them into a semifinal berth. So I'd give the edge to Neuer. He's the best goalie in the world. I mean, he has one of the highest save success rates as well, so no real surprise there. Now you look at the right back position. This could be kind of interesting. I feel like there's no real standout right back who honestly is going to win this award, which we have not really seen lately. And as I speak, Arsenal do get the breakthrough. Olivier Giroud heads home in the 86th minute. They now have a 1-0 lead over West Brom. That is a huge goal for Giroud and for Arsenal. They do have the lead, and that's probably the game winner right there as they try to stay in the Premier League race. They're not going to get any points on Chelsea because they keep winning, but as it stands right now, they will not drop any, which is huge. A ball from the right-hand side across comes in from Hector Bellerin. As I'm watching the replay, it came in from Mesut Ozil. So he heads home. Olivier Giroud, Mesut Ozil's cross. A beautiful ball in from the German over to Giroud, who heads it just over the head of Ben Foster. 1-0 for Arsenal over West Brom. All right, so as it stands, I was talking about my right back position for World of the Year, and I really don't think there's any standout right back this year that honestly deserves it. So it's interesting to see how they do this. They could go with 3 center backs, which they did a couple of years ago. They included David Luiz in there with it was Sergio Ramos as well as Thiago Silva, I believe. So they could go with that aspect. A lot of great center backs this year. But I'll go with a conventional style, I think, at right back. I'll go with Philipp Lahm, the German he retired now, but the German right back for Bayern Munich. Had another great year, a really solid right back. He can play all over the pitch. I mean, I think he's just one of the best in the world at right back. The 2 center backs, I'm going to go with Jerome Boateng. I'm kind of leaning towards a lot of German and Bayern Munich players right now, but I promise it won't stay that way. So I'll go with Boateng. He's just been really, really solid. If he doesn't get in there, it's possibly because he has been injured a little bit this year. So he could be a possibility to miss out, but I think he's one of the best in the world, really good attacking as well. The other center back, I'd go with Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid. Won the Champions League with Real Madrid this year. Another goal in the Champions League final. Constantly getting these late game goals to tie the game and give his team the edge. So I will give Sergio Ramos the other center back position for the World of the Year in my eyes. And then you look at the left back. I'm going to go with David Alaba for Bayern Munich, the Austrian international. Got into the European Championships, didn't really do anything with Austria, but he can play all over the field. He can play center back, he can play midfield, he plays left back. Really good going forward, great on set pieces. Another good year for Bayern Munich. A couple other guys who could get in there, Jordi Alba, possibly Marcelo from Real Madrid, but I will go with David Alaba. Now you look at my 3 midfielders. This is really no real surprise in my eyes. I'm staying in Spain. I'm going with Andres Iniesta from Barcelona, and I'm going with Toni Kroos and Luka Modric from Real Madrid. A couple of these guys, really great years. Iniesta kind of missed a little bit of time down the end of the season in 2016 with Barcelona. And if anything, I think that will probably help him because it shows Barcelona were playing absolutely terrible without Iniesta. It shows how important he is for the side and just everything he does for their team. So if anything, I think that's probably a better thing that will help Iniesta's cause to get into the World 11. Luka Modric and Toni Kroos from Real Madrid, they win the Champions League final with Real Madrid. So, I mean, they had a great year. Obviously great. They're just absolute powerhouses in the midfield. If there's a dark horse team of the year midfielder in my eyes, I'm going to maybe say N'Golo Kante. He didn't put any outstanding statistics up, but you look at just how important he is for his team. Leicester City, champions of the Premier League. N'Golo Kante, probably their best performer in my eyes, all up and down the pitch last year. Now you look at Leicester City, they sit 15th. Last year, Chelsea, really disappointing in the Premier League. This year, N'Golo Kante's there, they sit first. I'm not saying it's all N'Golo Kante, but still, a lot of it is because of him. A great season with Leicester winning the Premier League. I'm going to say a dark horse, maybe N'Golo Kante, just his work rate, his power, his frenetic, just always running up and down the pitch. Good defensively. I'm going to say a dark horse N'Golo Kante, but I don't think that will be the case. I'll go with Iniesta, I'll go with Luka Modric, and Toni Kroos. When you look at the front three, there's not going to be any real surprise here. The Ballon d'Or winner, Cristiano Ronaldo, is a lock to be in there on the left-hand side. Lionel Messi from Barcelona and Argentina is a lock to be on the right-hand side. And if Luis Suarez gets robbed from the World 11 again this year, like I think he did last year, then I don't have any faith at all in the people who are voting for this award. I thought he should have gotten in there last year. Neymar ended up getting in there, which I guess you can't really hate on. Neymar had a great season last year, but I felt like it should have been Luis Suarez. And this year, for sure, Suarez over 50 goals this season. Everything he did for Barcelona, there's no way that Luis Suarez does not get into the World 11 this year. I think he does. So I'll sort of conclude that. I have Neuer at goalie. I have Philipp Lahm at right back. I'm going to go with Jerome Boateng and Sergio Ramos as my center backs. I'm going to go with David Alaba, my left back. My three midfielders are Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, as well as Andres Iniesta. And my front three are Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Luis Suarez. All right, guys, so that is going to conclude this episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. Also, my last episode in 2016. I'd like to thank you guys for listening. I appreciate everything you guys have, sort of all of the support you have shown this year. It's been absolutely fantastic. We have a huge 2017 plan, as I mentioned on the show. I am so excited. Really quickly, before I leave, games are winding down. We're just in stoppage time in these respective games. So our scores, Arsenal 1-0 over West Brom, Chelsea 2-0 over Bournemouth, Manchester United 3-0 over Sunderland, a goal from Henrik Mkhitaryan as well as Zlatan Ibrahimovic for the Red Devils. So they are up 3-0 over Sunderland. Everton still with the 1-0 lead over Leicester. And then West Ham, a commanding 4-1 victory. Now it is full-time against Swansea City. Andy Carroll scoring in the 40th minute before Fernando Llorente scores in the 89th minute for Swansea. So those are your scores in the Premier League on Boxing Day. As I mentioned, Hull City as well as Manchester City will be playing later on in the day, just about 15, maybe half hour from now. So, and then, as I said, Arsenal, now the game has just gone final 1-0 over West Brom. All right, guys. So that is going to end our show today. I'd like to thank you for listening. My name is Ben Brown, and we are signing off at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. Goodbye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.